Hey everybody, it's Lee. Oh. There you go. That's better. How you doing today? Let's see here. I'm going to switch over from the studio mode. See who we got here. Dean. Hey Dean, I'm glad the weekend is here too. And Kevin says, Haley, have a work meeting. I'll be back in a bit. Cool. We'll see you when you get back. Evan's here. Hi, Evan. DC's here. Great to see you, DC. Let's see here. Chris is here. How's everybody doing today? I hope everybody's doing well. Okay, let's see here. I have a bunch of stuff I want to talk about today. And the first, let's go ahead and get to how everybody's doing first. That's the first thing I'd like to talk about. If you're new here, or if you're watching this later on, I'm Lee. We're Play Guitar Academy, also the host of Play Guitar Podcast, and this is our community hangout. And of course, I'm adjusting as we go here. Okay, here, let's try it this way. There we go. Camera peeking over behind the computer there. All right. I hope everybody's doing good. A little bit. We're in Georgia. Georgia's open for business. People are out there doing it all, man. Guitar Center open today. You can go get your guitars, get some strings, put your mask on. I saw a picture of the friend of mine who's the manager over there, and he had his mask on. They're going to let people in one at a time, I think, or, you know, how that goes. Restaurants are open for business. Most of them aren't, though. Most of them are just staying on pickup and drive-through, those kind of things. So everything's going back to normal here, right? No, not at all. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. So Evan says that reminds me, I want to change my strings after work. Yeah, I want to change my strings too. Now, there's nothing wrong with these strings. Okay, they're not going out of tune. They're not coated in black gunk. Just feel like changing strings. You ever feel like that? I just feel like I want the guitar to feel a little newer, you know? Maybe they're on their way out. Maybe I know that. Maybe that's why. Let's see. There we go. Got the guitar going on. Yeah, I think I might want to change them. Maybe that's what I'm feeling. It's feeling like it needs a little attention. I think I'll do that. So let's see here. Chris says that seems crazy. We're still in full lockdown in the United Kingdom. Yes, it's a crazy. It's crazy. Georgia overnight got 700, 800 new cases. So, you know, I'm looking out the window. Oh, by the way, if I have to like run out of here for a second, I'll be right back. I've been waiting on the UPS driver. I've got some packages that he needs to pick up. So got a nice little be right back screen. So if you see me just take off, that's what's going on. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy here. I don't understand it. So, but what you got to do is you just got to say, hey, all right, I'm not doing it. I'm staying home. I'm not going anywhere. We're stocked up on food. We're good to go. Let's see what happens. I have a feeling in about 2-3 weeks, we're going to see the repercussions of this, but maybe they know more than me. They probably do. Okay, let's see. Dean says our governor just extended another 3 weeks. So what our governor did said that medically fragile, I think is the term that he used, and over a certain age are still have a stay-at-home order. Other than that, all the stay-at-home orders are lifted. Okay. All right. So, the Georgia governor and the Florida governor are making a lot of news lately. I want the businesses to do well too, and maybe this, maybe people will go out and they'll keep these business, maybe a small amount will go out, keep these businesses alive, and they'll learn how to do it safely. And maybe this is the right step. I don't know. It doesn't feel like it to me, but what are you gonna do, right? Let's see who else we got here. So, let's see. Dean says, "Wow, we're only extended till the 15th." Yeah. And Evan says, "I really just want to clean between the pickups most of all." They never, you clean between them, or down here in between the pickup and the bridge. That keeps the most gunk there, fuzz and dust. Dean says, "It is crazy. It is crazy. This is crazy. It's crazy." My folks live up north, and they're still on lockdown, and I'm happy for that. I don't want them, my chiropractor is going surfing in Long Branch, New Jersey tomorrow. Yeah, beaches are open. Beaches are open. That's okay. And Evan says, "They should be changed though. It's been a while. Oh, we're going back and forth between strains and the coronavirus." And DC says, "I'm going to Asbury Park on Sunday. Ocean Grove Boardwalk has never been closed." Awesome. Have fun. Keep everybody at a safe distance. So Brennan says, "Hey everyone." Hi, Brennan. Dino's here. Hey, Dino. Good to see you. And Chris says, "I think so too, Lee. We are over the peak here and deaths are falling. I think we will hear some relaxing soon, but only very small easing of measures." Yeah. I can see from the apartment building. I'm looking out the window right now, as you can see by the shadow on my face, and it's like nothing ever happened. Oh well. Okay. Cotton bud for that, for cleaning the awkward bits. Yep. So Helix Vortex, can you discuss the notes as it pertains to the intervals and the geometry and how to use them? Example: root, major third, perfect fourth, flat seventh. How do you use those notes readily? Sure. Talking about intervals. The notes as it pertains to intervals and the geometry and how to use them. Okay, just I'll getting this together for you, trying to figure out where we're coming, which direction to go for that question. So let's go to C. I always like to start in C because there's no no sharps or flats. It's easy. Can you hear that? Okay, the notes as it pertains to the intervals and the geometry and how to use them. Root, major, second, perfect, fourth. Okay, so the DNA of this Western music that we listen to, and we've gone over this before, is there's a formula to the major scale. The major scale is kind of, do you remember that game? Was it 7 Steps to Kevin Bacon? So you can take any celebrity, and then within them either having friends or married to people, can work your way back to something else. Everything in music can be worked back. Everything other than rhythm can be worked down into this major scale, and it's whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. That's your formula. So if you start on any note and use that as your root and go whole, whole, half, I'm just going to do F here. So there's my note: whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Now, I'm sure you probably know this. I'm starting from the beginning on one string. Makes it easy to see. So these little whole steps and half steps are distances between notes. So those distances give you certain tones, and we're familiar with those tones. Familiar with those tones, the major scale, you know, and everything that goes along with those melodies, and you know, you've heard songs based on those forever. So what happens is each one of those distances is either a major second or a minor second, whole step or half step. So I usually start there because people can hear that. They know, okay, well, there's my intervals. It's either whole step or half step. But every note in relation to this note could be considered an interval. So the ones that fall under the major scale, the whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, are the most consonant ones. But the other ones, this is a minor second. This is the major second. This is the minor third. This is the major third. I'm going to go to the next string here. There's your perfect fourth. So there is your sharp 4 or flat 5 or tritone, or sometimes they call it a minor fifth too. There's lots of different names for it, but it's that sound. And then you have your fifth, perfect fifth, minor sixth, major sixth, flat seventh, major seventh, and octave. So those are all of the distances from one note to another. I'm going to go back to your question to make sure. The notes as it pertains to the interval and geometry, how to use them. How do you use those notes rarely? So what I do is I relate those to a key, to a scale. So I did all those in F here. So with F major, we have the whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. Those are the easy ones. Those are the most consonant ones. They fall on the scale. And you can play them together and get used to those sounds in your ears. You can play them in succession. And they all have a certain sound. Once you get those sounds in there, you can use them to your advantage in making up melodies, making up solos. But there's other notes too. And when we go to your minor second, your minor third, your sharp 4, flat 5. I use all of those as tension sounds. So even though if I'm playing, let me get my looper going here. It's a bad loop. It's too loud. Let's see here, let's do it quick. Those are my inside sounds. Now what I'll do is, if I need to go outside for a moment, I might use those other notes that don't fall on the major scale. Now I'm exaggerating that. I was using a lot of different notes that were very tense. That was for demonstrations only. That's not how I would play a solo. It sounded kind of cool to hear all those different sounds, and most of those notes that you would play on the as outside sounds. Most of those notes that aren't in the major scale aren't those consonant intervals. Will be considered wrong notes, depending on how you play them. And if you play them in a way that, if you play those notes in a way where you're using their tension to your advantage, it sounds like you know what you're doing and you're bold about it. So let's, minor second is the worst one. I'm having issues again with these. It's the strap for the guitar and the earbuds. There we go. I think I got it under Some of them sound more forced than other ones do. And I'm trying to do them all at the same time. I wouldn't use all of those outside sounds like I did there in a real solo. But each one of those intervals has a sound that you can use to your advantage. And it also depends on what chord you're playing over too, because the whole thing's about matching notes to chords. It's like granimals when the little kids who get their first clothes and they get the shirt that's got the tiger on it, and then they go to get their shorts that have the tiger on it, and they know they match, right? It's that simple. It's matching notes and deciding when you want to match and when you don't. Most popular music is consonant all of the time. It stays consonant. Okay, well, I'm going to play in C, and so I'm just going to use a C major scale, and that's it. Until you hear somebody start using the outside sounds and using them in a way where you really get something neat. So that's kind of my 3-4 minute version of that. It gets a lot more in depth than that. And then you said, so dominant seventh to then resolve root chord. Yeah. The dominant seventh. So in C is your G. So for everybody, key of C, your 1 chord is C. Your 5 chord is a G chord. So those are major triads. But if you were to do 4-note chords, you have your G dominant 7. And that's the sound, that's the strongest resolving sound. You go from tense, right? Needs to go somewhere. That buzz is driving me nuts. Hear that? Bad chord. That 5-1, where you can use that in scales and intervals too. So just find your, those are the notes for your G7 chord. So even if you're just playing over a C chord, you can still use that to your advantage. So you can, what I was just doing is I was finding different ways of throwing in the G um, arpeggio notes over top of a C chord. You can even use that as well. Even if the chord isn't playing, you can get the most out of those by superimposing different sounds over other sounds. And it all goes back to intervals. It all goes back to relationships of notes and what matches and what doesn't, and when how much you decide you want to match and how much you decide you don't. Okay, so let me go back here. I've missed a lot of stuff. Okay, I saw the chiropractor going surfing. Okay, so here we go. DC says I'll be distancing. Wonderful. That's great. You've been through enough already. Let's keep you nice and healthy at this point. So, Evan says 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. That's what it was. I forgot. I have a Bacon score of 2. Right? Read my mind up. Mike's here. Hey, Mike, how you doing? Good to see you. David's here. David Reed's here. Awesome. And Mike said, have been practicing scales with Dark Star Jam, which is in the key of D, with A Mixolydian and E Dorian, getting some different sounds. That's right. The modes, for those of you not familiar with modes, we talk a little bit about modes and different uses for them and different ways that you can put them over top of different chords to highlight different of these interval sounds that we're talking about. Dino calls it the YYZ tone. Yeah, the sharp 4 flat 5. Let's see. Moshe's here. Hey, Moshe. Good to see you. How's everything going? And Helix Vortex says, thankfully. You're welcome. I hope I helped. I hope I understood the question. But to me, it always helps to start from the beginning. This is why this works, why this works, why this works. And getting... And like Evan's here, and Evan's working on intervals too. And at first, he wasn't sure why he was working on the intervals. And as we're going on, he's starting to see how powerful they are, how useful they are, and how you hear them all the time. You just don't know they're there. You learn guitar. You start with chords. You learn to strum some songs, and it's great. And then you're like, well, I want to make a melody line up, or what's that, those kind of things. And you start to learn scales, and it's great. And then you have songs and scales, and then you're off to the races. And then you start to say, well, why does this person's scales and chords sound different than mine? What can I do? What's going on differently? And this is where it's at, understanding how notes and chords and intervals all relate to each other. It's a big topic. It's tough to condense it all down into a few minutes like this. And Evan says he loves intervals now. That's like, he wasn't sure why. I had to take some time and explain that to him. So. Okay, so we got some folks here. If you're not chatting, if you're just watching, I just want to say hi. Make sure that you're welcome to chat and hang out if you want. But I'm happy that you're watching, and for all the people who are watching back later, this is something we do on Fridays, and we're getting ready for the new week. And so I've got some things I want to talk about here. So we talked about the new developments. Has anything changed? I think Georgia and Florida are the ones that are changing the most at this point. We're going to work on the podcast for this week. We're going to talk about give you guys the opportunity to vote on some of the topics. We're going to do that early this week. Last week we talked about it on Sunday. And then Monday, I was scrambling to get all that stuff because the topic that we picked last week which was chord fills, in between chord fills. That was really involved to get that podcast together. So I want to start a little early this week, just in case we pick a topic that takes me a little bit of work. So by the time we were done on Monday, I was done. So we're gonna get a head start, and I've got some of the topics here from last week, and we can also new camera holder there, and so we'll open it up for some new topics as well. I'm gonna have everybody have the vote. DC says, I'm totally lost. I'm acting like a sponge and hoping something makes sense. It's just when you get a group of guitar players together, it's great to have people who are at different stages along the journey, and everybody's got a question. So sometimes there's going to be a question. This is for people who have exhausted their time with the learning scale patterns and all those things and are moving on. So it's a little bit farther ahead, but don't worry about it. It all makes sense. But I do want to make sure that if someone has a question, I try to answer it, but I'm not trying to alienate anybody else. But these are things that we're going to be working on in the future. And it's not something to get upset about and worry about. It all makes sense, and it's all helpful. So let's see here. Helix Vortex, I'm going to get back to your question in just a second. I'm going to just get to everybody else's. And let's see here. Jean-Paul's here. Hey, Jean-Paul. Good to see you. Thank you for all your sound musical techniques and your amazing expertise. Thank you, man. I appreciate it that you so generously share with all of us. Lots of times I'm totally lost. Well, there's it's all a journey. We're all on this together. There's not really a big difference between someone who's just starting out and someone who's been playing for a long time if they're trying to get better. The real difference comes when somebody drops out, when they've learned what they think is good enough, and they've gotten to the point where they can just play. They can play well enough, and they're happy with it, and they're not trying to get better at all. Those people have done their work, and they're out of it. That's not for us. We are trying to get better. I'm trying to get better. We're all trying to get better, no matter what stage of the journey we're on. And sometimes it helps. I know when I was a lot of my favorite times were standing outside the lesson room and listening to what other guitar players were practicing with the teacher that I would have, and people who were light years ahead of where I was, and trying to figure out what that was and what that means. But what's good about that is for DC, and then David said me too, just trying to take it in. But what's good is you're hearing these things. It's getting in there. Scales and chords, intervals, which are distances of notes, how they all work together. It's not difficult music theory. Music theory can get really, 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 really deep. There are books, very thick books written about this, and people like to talk about it. This is just the music theory that's to get us playing and understanding what it is we're doing, because that's the biggest problem that I've seen from people who try to learn on YouTube is that they learn some things. They learn enough to be dangerous, and they don't know what it is that they're doing. So that it's not difficult to imitate what somebody does if somebody tells you what fret to play, but to know what that is and to be able to take that knowledge and use it in other songs and use it in your own style. And that's the tough part, and that's the part that takes time, practice. So if you do hear us talking about some things that are farther along, that's okay. And if you have, and the other on the flip that, if you're farther along than some of the questions that are here, pay special attention to those. I'm living proof that you will be a better guitar player for remembering the fundamentals, making sure that you're playing them, because if you don't revisit them periodically, they kind of fade a little bit, and you might, it might hold you back in different places. Okay, so, but Jean-Paul, I'm glad you're here. It's great to see you. We need to email again soon. Okay. And Helix Vortex says, sorry if too deep. No, it's not too deep. Those are the questions you have. I'm happy to answer questions. So it's 4:35. In about 10 minutes, I'm going to go and we're going to start talking about what we want to do for the podcast. I don't want to blow past that. Evan says, I watch a YouTuber called 12 Tony, walks through music and concepts you've heard and explains it from a theory standpoint. Yeah, there's different ways of looking at it. I choose to look at it from I want to play. I want to be out there playing someday when there's no pandemic. I want to play. I want to know what it is that I'm doing when I'm playing. I want to be able to communicate with other musicians when I'm playing. I want to get across what it is what I want to get across when I'm playing. So I'm going to take music theory and use that to further my playing. I'm not a music theory. I don't want to be a music theory person. That's just me. There's some people who love talking about music theory and all those kind of things. I just want to take it and use it, And Evan says, I don't understand 3/4 of what's on the channel, but I love it. Right? David is, guitar is the never-ending story, always more to learn. And then Brennan says, it is a journey. It's a super fun journey. Yeah, it's great. My life would definitely not be as good as it is if I didn't pick up the guitar when I was 12 years old. And I've got a big birthday coming up in 12 days. A big one. So I've been playing for a long time, and here I am. I just sit around wearing the guitar all the time. I have nowhere to go. I'm in the apartment, but I wear the guitar all the time. Okay, so got through that. Oh, wait, I think Helix Vortex had one more. I went past that. When you use a mode, does the intervals change from the whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, or do they stay the same intervals of the original key? The intervals never change for modes. That's the whole point of a mode. A mode is taking that formula and starting it at a different point. Evan says, you share my daughter's birthday, the 13th. That's right, the 13th. Or is she the 12th? Today's the 1st, so I said 12 days from now. The 13th is mine, so that's awesome. We'll have a good birthday this year. So no, they don't change. And that's how you get the different, you can learn the patterns, right? The patterns don't change because those are just basically the intervals. It's starting at a different degree of the scale and making that your new home base, is why modes are so powerful. You don't have to learn a whole lot of new scale patterns. They're the same scale patterns, but they sound completely different when you start them from a different point. Okay, so let's see here. I'm gonna go back. Evan says, I'm just now understanding concepts I heard about a long time ago. Granted, there was a big break in there where I wasn't playing. You're doing great. I can tell you're doing great. Jean-Paul says, I've been learning how to play for 1 year. Awesome. That's a good year. Evan says, okay, we did those. Just checking here. DC says, oh, I agree. I learned from hearing what doesn't make some sense, and later it clicks into place. Yeah. For me, it's when I'm sleeping. If I trying to figure something out before I go to bed, and then sometimes I'll wake up and I'll have it all sorted out. It's really It's kind of creepy, but it's powerful. It's great that the brain works like that. But sometimes, yeah, there's something that I heard, or like a song I tried to learn like 15 years ago that I couldn't figure out, and now I have the skills that are required for that, and it just kind of, I try to learn it the second time, and I get it like that. Um, Evan says biggest regret is putting the guitar down for 20 years. Yeah. Yeah, even if I'm not playing, for some reason I kept going. As a lot of musicians are like this. They have periods of time where they're playing a lot and periods of time where they don't. Um, I'm in one of those where I'm not, but I'm doing a lot of teaching. And it's just the opposite for teaching. Sometimes I was doing a lot of teaching. Other times I was focused more on playing, and I couldn't do as much teaching because I was gone a lot. And at that time there wasn't, all of this. If you could go back and teach your young self, what would you do differently? What would I do differently? There was one time I had a teacher who, in college, that I tried to get away from. I tried to get another teacher because it wasn't working out. And then the dean of the school told me I had to stay with that teacher, and I just accepted it. And that was, and I still learned a lot from that teacher, but it was really a bad fit. And I sucked it up. I did it. I stayed for 4 years, and I was trying to get out. I think I was 2 years in, and I was like, I gotta leave. And so I was convinced into not creating a big stink and trying to change again. I would have stuck with my instincts and moved on. Sometimes teachers are different. There's a ton of guitar teachers, a ton of teachers for everything. And to me, it's whether their personality works and whether they know what they're talking about. That's the important thing. And so this guy I had knew what he was talking about. He was a great player. Personality, I couldn't learn well like I should. So there was a period of time where I really could have been moving forward that I didn't. So that, I guess that's the regret. I've learned a lot, and I've been, most of all the things that I've worked on, I'm happy. I'm pretty happy with how things worked out. There's a couple instances like that where things didn't work out, but I think I had to go through the things that I went through. I started off just being a rock player. That's all I wanted to do, is play rock stuff. And I accidentally got into jazz band in school and learned from that. And then I started getting in other bands, and I didn't know I was going to be a blues player. And I became a blues player because that was the opportunity. And I loved that music. I didn't realize how much I loved it. If I didn't play it, I probably wouldn't have loved it that much. So yeah, it's a good question though. How about you guys? Is there anything you do differently with your experience with the guitar? All right, I'm going to go back here. DC says, I've been sick for a month and have had lost practice space and no guitar teacher, so I'm hanging in. We'll get that fixed. So let me get to my news about that. That reminds me. For those who have the coaching now, the founding members that are getting that now, I have a question for you. How do you like the new format where I watch your video and I comment on it in real time? Very curious about how you feel about that. It's different, and it takes the videos are a lot longer. Excuse me, but If everyone likes it, well, I'm just gonna leave that up there. Let me know how you like those, or not. If you like it the old way, where I'll watch your video separately and then just put my video on there. Kevin's here. Hey, Kevin, good to see you. DC says she'd insist at an early age to have guitar lessons like my brother got, but not me. I know. So if I go up, shame on me. I'm here to learn. Yeah. David says I just picked up guitar for the first time last year. Don't know much yet, but still know a lot more than when I started. And you can't ask for more than that. That's how it's going to be next year. That's how it's going to be the year after that. Okay. Mike says, I dream playing riff or scale sometimes. It's like my mind won't stop practicing. That's right. And Chris says, I never had lessons, just from the last couple of years. And you've been doing great, by the way. I wish I had got some earlier, but I learned a lot on my own way too. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to climb the mountain. Okay. And he says, I took it as far as I could on my own, so it's super useful having a guide on the same wavelength. And yeah, and Chris did play bass before, and he's a very good bass player. Dino says, I go back and become a lead singer. Yeah, that's right. And singing was something I never cared to do, and it was something that happened. I got fed up with the singers that were in the bands that wouldn't show up and all of those things. So I ended up it was really neat. It was in Macon, where I'm at right now, and there's this little place called the Back Porch Lounge, and it was one of them bars, you know. And I booked a gig there, 3-piece, and I had never fronted a band before, and I just figured, well, everybody there, they're drinking a lot. They probably won't remember, you know, if I'm that terrible. And I was fine. I got through it. Was it great? I don't know. One, probably not. But I got better and better and better. Let's see here. Never too late to start. That's right, David. DC says, you're in Melee. I am. I'm a Mother's Day. My birthday always is around Mother's Day. So Mother's Day birthday. Chris started when he was 14. That's right. Chris is a twin too. That's pretty awesome too. Okay. Josh is here. Hey Josh, haven't done the new format, but promise I'll get a video on this week. Okay. And Chris liked it. You liked the one that you had, more of an instant feedback, it feels like. Yeah. It's more of a conversation because I'm responding to the questions in real time. So Brennan says, if I were to give my younger self advice, I suggest taking time and not trying to go too fast. And don't give up when frustrated. Yeah, pace yourself. That's the most important thing. Pace yourself. I not put it down in the first place, but I think it makes me more serious the second go. Yeah, you know, in life, you know, sometimes maybe it was important for you to put, maybe you had to do that, you know? Okay. I'm going to skip ahead, see. And Brennan says, also, if you find a teacher that isn't working, it's okay to change. Yeah, definitely. I've had students come in, go out. I've had students that have left and then come back later on, and you know, it was better the second time around too. I had lots of teachers. I would move from one teacher to the next. David says the new coaching videos with our videos playing are so much better. It's like instant feedback. You don't have to watch and remember what to coach on. Just pause and correct problems. Great. Thank you, David. That's what I was looking for. Okay, and Chris gave a link to his old band. Cool. Awesome. Yeah, let's see. Okay, so the UPS guy hasn't shown up yet, so I don't have to go just yet. So the coaching, thank you for that feedback. So I think what I'm going to do is to keep the videos down so I can watch everybody's videos is to, I guess we'll keep them around 10 minutes. I think that would be the smartest thing to do, because your video will be 10 minutes and then I'm going to go past that, with the next week's video. So I may, if we stick with this, I may ask that everybody's videos stay around 10 minutes, that kind of thing. So if anyone else, the next thing about coaching is that I'm starting a waiting list I'm going to open up new spots from coaching when the academy opens up. And I have the 3 or 4 people who want to get in already. So I've started a waiting list. So if anyone isn't a founding member and would like to get in on the coaching, let me know and I'll add you to the waiting list. Let's see here. What I've been doing, I've been working on my computer trying to get this fan fixed. It's better. I've been finishing the roadmap. I've been waiting on equipment to get, so this is one room of the apartment. I can't always get to this room. So I have a whole other recording set up that's going to be, I'm waiting on equipment to come today and over the weekend. So Monday I'll be finishing. So starting Monday, I'll have the whole week and I'm going to get all of those videos done. And I've been doing, what else have I been doing? I've been doing cleanup, going through the old podcast show notes links that were broken. I'm fixing those. I did 40 last night before I went to bed. Got all my Google stuff set up. So that's a little bit of what I've been doing. We've been taking questions, and let's see. Tomorrow. Okay, so here's the next thing. Tomorrow is Guitar Talk. So we're going to talk about tomorrow's live stream, and then we're going to talk about the podcast. So tomorrow is Guitar Talk. And if anybody, I don't know what the topic's going to be yet, but if anybody would like to join me for Guitar Talk, let me know, and I'll send you the link tomorrow. I'm going to figure out a way that I can do this ahead of time so I can send the links ahead of time. I'm sure it's pretty easy. I just haven't done it yet. So this is Guitar Talk. Whoever wants to come on the stream with me, video, and we'll do a Zoom, and that'll be Guitar Talk May 2nd. And okay. So let me go back here a little bit. I'll give you guys some time. Anybody, let's see here. Evan likes the new video format too. Great. +1, Brennan. Great. And Chris has been aiming for 10 minutes. Yeah. 10 minutes, no worries. So I think 10 minutes would be a good, I can get that. So I think the best way to do that, most of the time when the videos go long, is jamming over if we have a improv or something like that where it keeps going. So limiting to that. Usually I think the best way to do that 1 time through or 2 times through, keeping that a little bit shorter, probably be the best, easiest way to do that. And Evan says 10 minutes, no worries. Yep. And the coaching's great. And Dean, I think you have me. I do. I have, Dean is on the list. And Kevin, you were the first person I put on the list. So you guys are there. Mike says, try Dancing in the Streets by The Dead, but 9th chords are super hard. Is there any simplified 9th chord shapes? Okay. So the 9th chord shapes, this is the 9th chord shape that you see the most. Maybe not in Grateful Dead music, but this is the easiest one. And this is with the root on the A string of the chord. So this would be an E9th chord. And that's 1st, 3rd, 5th, 9th, and then 5th again. Wait, no, 1st, 3rd, flat 7th, 9th, 5th. And then a really, if you add your pinky 2 frets up on the high E string, that's a 13th chord. So this would be E13. This is the easiest one. There's a lot of different ones. This is an A. Let's do an E9th would be up here. So it's basically like I'll do an A7. There's an A7, and you add your pinky is your 9th there too. There's a couple easy ones. This is the one here that you see most time, like James Brown. So DC says I haven't ever done a video myself and I don't know how. You just use your phone, your camera on your camera app on your phone, hit the video and record it that way, and then just upload it. It's not too tough. I'm gonna have a video that's showing people how to do those things. David says have my buddy Joe, who's in with Facebook group, email you. He wasn't in on coaching. Yeah, just have him send me an email and just say that David, you sent him about the coaching. And DC says, I'm glad I joined Play Guitar Academy. Yeah, you have the course, Start Here Guitar. What I'm working on now is the next step after that. And you need to go over the whole thing again. Great. Josh will do the Zoom. Okay, so I got Josh. Josh will hang out tomorrow. And David says, we'll do Zoom unless it blocks someone new who wants in. Okay, I'll put David. And Kevin says, Lee, thanks for mentioning Larry Carlton last week. I've been listening all week and really enjoying his stuff. Yeah, he's really great player. And you've heard him a lot because he did a lot of like TV shows, like famous TV shows and stuff. You've heard his guitar playing, but it was just as kind of like background things. But when he did his own stuff, it was really, really cool. Great. I'm glad you're enjoying him. And David's telling DC about, she says, I downloaded Zoom, and I was like, what? Yeah. I got my parents using Zoom last week. They got their, they got to do some church stuff online. I got them set up with that. Okay. So we got Josh and David for that. And the last thing I want to talk about is the podcast for this week. I want to get a head start on it. So we had some topics. We did in between chord fills. That's what we worked on this week. It was a good one. I'm glad I did it. It was a lot of work, but it was a good one. I got the tab out, all this thing. It was fun. So the other topics we had were welcome back to the guitar. I guess a topic for people who have put the guitar down for a while. Evan could give his perspective on that. The next one was how to build a solo, guitar solo, which one is always a good one. And then we still have the Joe Satriani feature that we're going to do. So I'm going to open it up now. If anybody has any other, like a good topic that they might want to see on the podcast or hear on the podcast, I'll give that a minute or two for everybody to hear that. And then we'll vote. And Dean says guitar fills was great. Thanks, man. Thanks. I appreciate it. It did good. That on the audio podcast, it's starting to get almost back to pre-coronavirus downloads. So I think it went well. I think what we're doing here on YouTube, this is just kind of new. We're very small on YouTube, but I'm enjoying it. I'm having fun. So DC, I'm in on the Guitar Academy as an original member, right? You're in on so DC, you have you never did, you own the Start Here Guitar course. You purchased that, and you're also in Patreon. So you're in Patreon. So the Patreon thing, as we keep going through that, what I was thinking about for you is this is going to be the founding members is about what it's like $19 a month is what the founding members pay, and you've done the Patreon, so we'll see about that. I have some ideas about how to work that right now. So you've got the course, which is the beginner. It's called Start Here Guitar. You purchase that. That's yours for as long as I'm breathing. And then you're also a Patreon member, which you get some special stuff about that too when all this comes up. So So we'll talk about that. This is the academy, which is another thing. You didn't sign up for the founding member thing, but that was may have been when you were having other stuff going on. So, but I'll talk to you about that. We'll figure something out there. So let's see here. Kevin says, how about setting up a guitar? Like it's easy to do, or do most people just have music shop do their sets? I think I've done a player setup is what I called it. I know I did that somewhere. If anybody knows if that's what the episode number is, that is, but I'm going to put that down. Maybe I can expand on that. Players setup. Josh says could cover different styles, for example. So some different styles. Like what? What different styles would you guys like me to delve into? Evans +1 for the welcome back. Dean would love to see movable chords other than normal bar chords, like that 9th you just did. Yeah. We some movable chords other than bar. Okay, and then let's see here. Chris says, I've never got my arpeggios down much. I know some, but I feel this might help me and others. Arpeggios in different places, ways to use them if they make sense. So arpeggios. I keep debating if I should do a setup video and post it to Facebook. Yeah, go for it, man. I would definitely do it. I would definitely do that. And Dean likes the arpeggios. Josh says I've done it. Yeah, I've done a setup video. Let's see if I can find it real quick. We're gonna do a vote in a few minutes, and it's after 5. But I'm gonna hang out a little bit longer. Play Guitar Academy. Players setup. Let's see if the I did basic gig setup with single amp pedals, but that's not setting up a guitar, and mobile practice space complete setup. I'll look back on that. Maybe it was from a live stream. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. If it's not, I'll look into that. David says this week's Satriani welcome back guitar. Yeah. So I'm gonna pick a few of these, and then we're gonna vote on them in just a second. And Josh says classic rock or hard rock. Okay. And DCS, so what you're doing is something different from the first lesson. Yeah, so the first one, Start Here Guitar, that's a 11-week course that's for very beginnings of the guitar up to a certain point. And what I'm working on now is a membership site that takes you from there. It's the next step from there all the way to advanced guitar. There will be a ton of information on it. That's why it's taken me so long to get everything in there. And it's also the same roadmap that I'm using for all the founding members. Okay. All right. So let's see here. We have Satriani. We have Welcome Back to Guitar, How to Build a Solo, Player Setup, different styles, and moving chords other than bars, and arpeggios. So I'm going to pick 3 of those that I think we could do. I'm going to, so the player setup, I want to check on that. I know I've done something about that before. So why don't we do, and I'm keeping all of these. So just to make it easy. Evan says after 5 and no UPS. Yeah, I can't believe it. They usually get here around 2 o'clock. So if they don't show, I have to take myself down to the UPS place, which I would rather not do. Okay, so let's do either Satriani. We'll say if it's Satriani, put in a 1. If Welcome Back to Guitar, put in a 2. And the arpeggios, put in a 3. I want to do the different styles of music. I'm going to do those towards the end of the month. That's a great idea. I want to have some time to really work on those because I think those would be pretty good. So we're going to say Satriani's 1, Welcome Back to Guitars 2, and arpeggios is 3. So everybody vote. Plug in a 1, 2, or 3. Satriani is 1. Welcome Back to Guitars 2, and arpeggios are 3. I'm also going to do How to Build a Solo later on, too. That's a good one. Okay, so I'm going to save that next group for next week. So Evan says, maybe when I change my strings this weekend, I'll film something. I'm going to check my notes just to make sure I didn't miss anything. Put on the topics. News, coaching. I like the new format. Talked about that. Guitar talk. Yeah. Okay, so we got 2 3s. Dean's a 3. Dino's a 3. David's a 2. Okay, so we got 2 3s, 1 2. We'll give it a few minutes. So those are Satriani's 1, Welcome Back to the Guitars 2, and arpeggios is 3. Yeah, DC says, okay, yeah, I didn't know about founding member, probably on a sick leave. Yep, that's when that happened. Yeah. Josh is a 3. Brendan is a 3. Okay, so we got some arpeggios pulling ahead. Yeah, I think that's when that was. I'm pretty sure. But it's okay. It's all going to open up soon, and we'll get it all figured out. All right. And DC says, whatever, welcome back to guitar. That's 2. So we have 2 for 2. Evan's a 2, 2. So welcome back to the guitars. Pulling close. It's very close. It's 4-3. This point. Oh, it's a tie. Kevin's in with the welcome back to guitar. All right. And we'll see if anyone has a tiebreaker. So anyone who is just listening in too, because I know we have some folks that are just listening in, feel free to vote if you want. You're more than welcome to. And we'll just give it. We are tied. Yes, we are tied. We are tied. That's good though. That's 2 solid topics. We don't have to do. I just do one this week, but that's a good topic to have too. So we'll wait a little bit. I'm going to. Chris is abstaining. He doesn't want to be the tiebreaker, right? So let's talk about this YouTube channel is growing. We had 700 subscribers today. Or yesterday, somewhere today or yesterday. So YouTube channel's going really good from starting from scratch. It's doing pretty good. The podcast is starting to come back. These live streams are fun, and I'm getting to hang out with you guys and know a little bit about what's going on with you guys, so you get to know a little bit more about what's going on with me. So Dino says, Lee, you pick the topic. Either is fine. Okay, so I'm gonna pick. I'll do it over the evening unless we get any more votes in. They're both fine. They're both great. Dave says 2. I'm from Florida, and that's how we vote. Okay. Wait, did you already vote once? Yeah, you already voted. Paper, rock, scissors. Got it. Got it. Okay. Dave. That's how we vote, Florida, too. I'm future Floridian. I guess I'll be voting as much as I possibly can. Right. Oh, goodness. Okay. Okay. Well, I'll think about it over the evening, and tomorrow we'll go through all the different sections during the live stream. And I've got Josh and David. Anybody else who wants to come in tomorrow for Eastern Daylight Time? That'll be fun. I'll see everybody there. I'm going to go ahead and say thanks to everybody right now. And I'm going to go try and chase the brown truck around so with my packages I need to get sent today. And I got to everything, and it was fun hanging out. New week. We're going to say this is going to be a better week. Dina said there's a hanging Chad. No vote there. Yeah, no hanging Chads. No hanging Chads, man. That's right. Okay. All right, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and call it, but you have a wonderful rest of your week. And if anybody has any questions, pop in here. Tomorrow, Josh and David, I'm going to be sending out a link, hopefully a little bit earlier than I have before. And DC has a 2. Right. I got yours down there too. So, but she can vote 2 times too. We all are. Okay, everybody. I will see you tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll get this all figured out tonight. Bye-bye.